Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 95.
Now, for anyone who hasn't spent their weekends reading Chinese classics, let's set the stage. What exactly are we looking at here?
So, Su Tangyanyi is a historical novel. That's an important distinction to make right up front. It's not a dry government record. It dramatizes the history of the Sui and Tang dynasties. Think of it like a high-end historical drama series. It takes the hard facts of history and blends them with the folklore, the legends, and the emotional texture of the time.
So it's history with the feelings left in.
Exactly, history with the feelings. And the section we're looking at today is, well, it's heavy. We are dropping right into the aftermath of the An Lushan Rebellion.
And for context, this wasn't just a minor skirmish. This was the event that effectively broke the golden age of the Tang dynasty.
Right.
It was a catastrophic civil war.
It changed absolutely everything. The emperor, Xuanzang, who was often called the Bright Emperor because his reign was so brilliant, has fallen completely from grace. The rebels have taken the capital. The emperor has fled into exile in Shu, which is modern-day Sichuan.
Yeah.
He has lost his beloved consort Yang Guifei. I mean, the empire is literally burning down around him.
How different people handle this collapse. Because when the structure of society falls apart, you really see what people are made of.
You really do.
We've got generals fighting ghost battles, a heartbroken emperor writing apologies to the dead, and a jester who literally jokes his way out of an execution.
It really is a masterclass in survival, loyalty, and regret.
Let's start with the action. We're dropping into the city of Suyang. The situation is dire, to put it mildly.
Dire is an understatement. The loyalist general Zhang Hao has been sent to clean up a disaster zone. The text actually mentions that he just had to execute, or, well, cane to death, a subordinate named Yan Qishao just for failing to arrive on time.
Wow, so that sets the tone immediately. There's zero tolerance for failure here.
High stakes, pure desperation. And Zhang Hao is up against the rebel general Yanziki. This guy, Yanziki, has been terrorizing the region. So the armies clash. It starts as a standard, brutal, medieval battle until it isn't.
And I love this part because it gives us a glimpse into how people at the time processed the sheer chaos of war.
Right. Just as the battle heats up, the text says dark clouds gathered from all four directions, and then a cold wind hits them in the face. But it's not just a storm, is it?
No, it's not. The rebel army starts hearing sounds, ghosts crying and gods howling. They look up into the clouds, and in the chaos of the mist, it looks like an army of ghost soldiers is charging at them.
Imagine the psychological impact of that. You've been slaughtering people, burning cities, and suddenly the fog takes the shape of your victims.
The text is specific about that, right?
Yeah.
The rebels believe these are the spirits of the faithful dead.
Yes.
The people of Suyang they had killed, coming back for revenge.
It causes a total rout. The rebel army just disintegrates. They aren't fighting flesh and blood anymore. They're fighting their own guilt, manifested as ghosts.
So Yanziki, the rebel general, he manages to escape the battlefield. He runs to a place called Chenlu. He probably thinks, okay, I made it out. I'm safe here.
But he's walking into a trap. And this is fascinating because it's not the opposing army that gets him. It's the regular people, the citizens of Chenlu.
They know what he did to Suyang. The source says they hated his cruelty and mourned the loyalists he killed. So they rise up.
They kill him and surrender the city to the loyalists. It's a very power to the people moment. But notice who gets the credit in the narrative.
The ghosts.
Exactly. The text explicitly says loyal souls have their own spiritual power. It's framing this victory as karmic justice. The idea is that if you are loyal and righteous, even after you die, your spirit has enough power to turn the tide of battle.
Which is an incredibly comforting thought when your actual government has collapsed and the emperor is hiding in the mountains.
Yeah.
You want to believe there is still some cosmic order.
It's a way of making sense of a senseless world.
Speaking of the emperor hiding in the mountains, let's pivot from the battlefield to the palace. Or, well, the exile palace.
Right. We move to Emperor Xuanzang down in Shu.
This is a man who had everything. The most powerful empire in the world, the most beautiful woman in the world. Now, he's depressed. He's sitting around with just a few servants, like the eunuch Gao Lishi.
The source paints a very lonely picture. He's grieving Yang Guifei constantly. And then the news starts trickling in from the capital, and it's all bad.
Rebel An Lushan burned the ancestral temple. He killed the royals. It's devastating. But then a piece of good news drops, and Lushan is dead.
And usually that would be a moment of pure celebration. The villain is dead. But for the emperor, it triggers this massive wave of regret. It triggers a very specific memory.
The ultimate "I told you so."
Exactly. He remembers his former chancellor, a man named Zhang Juling. Years ago, long before the rebellion, Zhang Juling looked at An Lushan and told the emperor, "This man has the face of a traitor. You should execute him now."
And the emperor ignored him. He probably thought An Lushan was harmless, or maybe he just liked having him around.
He was charmed by him, and Lushan played the part of the clumsy, loyal barbarian very well. And now, sitting in exile, seeing his country in ruins, the emperor realizes Zhang Juling was right all along. The source quotes the emperor saying, "If I had listened to him then, how would we have reached this disaster today?"
So what does he do? I mean, he can't bring Zhang Juling back to life. He can't unburn the ancestral temple.
No, he can't. So he performs a ritual of apology. He writes a poem, a eulogy, and sends a messenger to read it at Zhang Juling's grave.
I love that we have the paraphrase of this poem in the source. It's heartbreakingly honest. He says, "I didn't listen, I was foolish, and I let a giant villain go free."
But the kicker is the line at the end, "If you were alive today, I wouldn't have the face to see you."
I wouldn't have the face to see you. Let's unpack that, because that is heavy.
It's incredibly heavy. In Chinese culture, face mianzi is your dignity, your social standing. For an emperor to say he has no face.
He's stripping himself of his authority.
Exactly. He is saying, my shame is so deep that even if you were standing right here, I couldn't look you in the eye.
It highlights a key theme in this text, which is hindsight. The emperor is trying to make amends with the dead because he feels completely helpless to fix the living world. He's granting posthumous honors, trying to rewrite his relationship with the truth that he ignored.
It's a tragic attempt to fix the past, but it also sets up the next section. Because he's so focused on honoring the dead, he starts looking for other examples of loyalty.
Right. He wants to find everyone who died for the country. He wants to give them credit. And specifically, he asks about his entertainers, the Pear Garden musicians.
Now, this might seem a little odd to a modern listener. The empire is falling apart, and the emperor asks, how is the band doing?
Yeah, you expect him to ask about the generals.
But that's the point. The officials, the guys in the fancy robes running the government, many of them surrendered. They switched sides to save their property or their lives. The emperor is desperate to find integrity somewhere, and he hears about a musician named Li Hecking.
Tell us about Lei Hacking, because this is a scene that feels like it belongs in a movie.
So, imagine the scene. And Lushan, the rebel leader, has taken the capital. He is holding a massive victory banquet at the royal pool, which is frozen over. He forces the captured royal musicians to play for him. It's a humiliation ritual. Dance for your new master.
And the musicians are crying. They can't help it. They are playing the songs of the dynasty they loved for the man who destroyed it.
And Lushan sees this and basically says, if anyone cries, cut them down. He wants total submission. But Lei Hacking, he doesn't just cry.
He snaps.
He stands up in the middle of the performance, he throws his instrument to the ground, smashing it. And then he looks An Lushan in the eye and starts cursing him.
In the middle of the rebel stronghold, surrounded by armed guards. That's suicide.
It is. And he is executed immediately, hacked to pieces on the spot, martyred.
The emperor's reaction to this story is really telling. He compares this musician to his high-ranking officials.
He says the officials like Zhang Jun are worse than beasts, because here's a guy who just plays music, who has no political power, showing more backbone than the men who were paid to run the empire.
It's the classic loyalty comes from unlikely places trope. But let's be honest here, not everyone can be a martyr. Not everyone has it in them to throw the flute and die.
No, most people just want to survive. And that brings us to the most entertaining character, the survivor.
Huang Fanchuo.
Huang Fanchuo. He was a famous jester, a master of comedy in the court. He was also captured by the rebels. But unlike Lei Hacking, he didn't throw his instrument, he played the game.
And now, in our source, he's escaped the rebels and made his way back to the emperor in Shu. But he's terrified.
He is terrified. He thinks, I serve the enemy, the emperor is going to kill me as a collaborator.
But the emperor surprises him. He says, look, you're an actor. You're not expected to be a hero like Lei Hacking. I pardon you.
Which is a very pragmatic moment for the emperor. He understands that different people have different roles. But the drama isn't over.
Of course not. Enter the villain of the court, the eunuch, Feng Shenwei.
Feng Shenwei has a grudge. Apparently Huang Fanchuo used to make fun of him in the past. Jesters make enemies. It's part of the job description.
So Feng sees his chance. He steps up and says, Your Majesty, don't be fooled. This guy didn't just survive. He flattered An Lushan. He sucked up to him.
And he brings receipts. He cites 2 specific dreams that An Lushan had, which Huang Fanchuo interpreted. He claims Huang used these dreams to tell the rebel leader he was destined for greatness.
Okay, let's unpack these dreams, because this is where the genius of the source really shines.
So, dream number 1. And Lushan dreamt that the paper window in his room was broken.
And dream number 2. And Lushan dreamt his sleeve was incredibly long, like awkwardly long.
Right. So according to the eunuch, here is how Huang interpreted them for the rebel leader. For the broken window, he said, this means your radiance shines in all directions. You know, the window is broken so the light bursts out.
Classic flattery. You're so bright you broke the window.
Exactly. And for the long sleeve, he told An Lushan, this means you will rule the empire with hanging robes, which is a Taoist idiom for effortless rule. You don't even have to lift a finger. Your sleeves are just hanging down because the empire runs itself.
So on the surface, he told the rebel leader exactly what he wanted to hear. You're awesome, and you're going to win.
The emperor hears this accusation and looks at Huang Fanchuo. Is this true? Did you say these things?
This is the moment. Life or death. If he denies it, the eunuch probably has witnesses. No. If he admits it, he looks like a traitor.
Huang Fanchuo doesn't panic. He says, yes, he had those dreams, and I said those words.
But
then he explains the code. He says, I knew he was going to fail because those dreams were nightmares. I just used pretty words to save my own neck so I could live to see your majesty again.
So what did the dreams really mean? Let's decode this.
Okay, the broken paper window. Huang explains, a torn paper window cannot be pasted back together. In Chinese, this is a play on words or a visual metaphor. If you can't paste it, it won't hold. It means his regime is fragile. It won't last.
Oh, that is good. A broken window is just broken. It's not radiance. It's structural failure.
Exactly. And the long sleeve, Huang says, a long sleeve means you cannot put your hands out.
Cannot put your hands out.
Meaning you are restricted, you can't take action, you are ineffective, you are handcuffed by your own excess.
That is brilliant. He insulted the guy to his face, but he wrapped it in a compliment so thick the rebel didn't notice.
It's steganography, hiding a message inside another message. He told the rebel, you are powerless and you won't last. But he used words that sounded like, you are effortless and radiant.
And the emperor gets it.
The emperor bursts out laughing.
Of course he does.
He realizes that Huang Fanchuo used his glib tongue not just to be annoying, but as a weapon of survival.
And the source says the emperor kept him close after that.
He did. He valued that wit. It says Huang would often mix humor with his reports to keep the emperor's spirits up. And honestly, having someone who can find a laugh in the middle of an exile is just as valuable as having a soldier.
Okay, let's shift scenes. So imagine for a second that you are a musician.
Right.
But not just, a guy with a guitar at a campfire.
Yeah.
You are the absolute best in the world. You're so technically proficient that your music doesn't just entertain people. Physically affects the reality around you.
Yeah, like we've all heard those romantic legends about music stopping an army in its tracks or calming a savage beast.
Exactly. But that's the Disney version. Now, I want you to imagine that same beautiful music attracting a horrifying 8-foot-tall tiger-headed monster in a desolate temple.
Oh, man.
Or even crazier, imagine playing a song so powerful, so incredibly resonant, that it literally causes the high-end instrument in your hands to explode into splinters.
It definitely creates a very different picture of what art actually is. We tend to think of music as something passive, right? Something we consume on our commute.
Right.
But the source material we're analyzing today suggests that art is actually a force of nature. It's hazardous. It has literal physical weight.
And that is why I'm so excited today. Honestly, this story is a total genre bender. It starts as this high-stakes survival horror, kind of like A Quiet Place, and then halfway through it pivots into this incredibly specific, almost technical masterclass on acoustics and bamboo craftsmanship.
It's a really unique blend, and to understand the stakes here, we have to look at our protagonist, Limo. He isn't just some random wanderer. He's a flutist from the Pear Garden.
Which sounds lovely, but tell us what that actually means in the context of the Tang dynasty.
Yeah, so the Pear Garden was the Imperial Music Academy founded by Emperor Xuanzong. Think of this as the Juilliard of the 8th century, but even more exclusive.
Wow.
To be in the Pear Garden meant you were the absolute elite of the elite. You were playing specifically for the emperor. So Limo is a massive celebrity. He's used to palaces, fine wines, silk robes.
But when we meet him in this text, he is definitely not in a palace. The situation is bad.
It's catastrophic. The historical backdrop here is the An Lushan Rebellion. This was a massive civil war that just completely devastated the Tang dynasty.
Right.
The emperor is fleeing the capital, retreating west towards Sichuan. It's a muddy, chaotic, desperate retreat. And in all the confusion, Li Mo gets separated from the royal entourage.
That is just a nightmare scenario. I mean, you're a musician, not a soldier.
Yeah.
You're completely left behind in a war zone.
And he tries to catch up, but he runs into the defeated troops of General Ju Shuhan. The roads are just blocked with refugees and soldiers. Everything is in disarray.
Total chaos.
Yeah. He winds up totally isolated in a valley, seeking refuge in this old, desolate temple.
This is the classic horror movie setup. He's alone. He's anxious. The monks at the temple know who he is, so they give him a room, but he's stuck there for days.
Right.
And one night, the moon is bright, the wind is clear, and he just can't sleep.
So he does what he's trained to do. He tries to comfort himself with art. He takes his flute out to a stone platform under this massive tree and starts to play.
And the text says, the sound is resounding, echoing through the entire valley, which, poetically, is beautiful. Strategically, it's a terrible idea.
Oh, absolutely.
You are basically ringing a dinner bell in the wilderness.
That's exactly what happens. While he's playing, he spots something coming out of the woods. The text initially calls him a burly fellow, but as this figure gets closer, the description shifts from fellow to something much, much more disturbing.
This is the visual that really stuck with me. It's not just a monster, it's a tiger-headed man.
Yeah.
But it's the fashion choices that make it so weird. The text specifies he's wearing a white unlined shirt, but he's barefoot with bare legs.
It puts it right in the uncanny valley for me. If it was just a regular tiger, you'd run.
Right.
If it was a human bandit, you'd fight or beg.
But a tiger man wearing a casual shirt, it implies a creature that is trying to mimic humanity but hasn't quite figured it out yet. It's deeply unsettling. And he doesn't attack immediately either. He sits down. He literally sits right on the threshold of the temple, sprawls his bare legs out, and speaks.
Yeah.
He says, the flute sound is very wonderful. Play another tune.
Talk about a tough crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine the terror.
Yeah.
You're looking at a tiger man, 8 feet tall, and he's asking for an encore.
Yeah. Ilo is greatly terrified, as the text puts it, but he realizes he's playing for his life. If he stops, he gets eaten. If he plays badly, he probably gets eaten.
Exactly. So he makes a strategic choice. He switches up his repertoire. He plays a complex and soothing tune. He's basically trying to sedate the beast.
And it actually works. The tiger man listens, his eyes get heavy, he lies down on the threshold and just starts snoring like thunder.
But now Limo has a problem. He wants to run back inside the temple, but the monster is literally blocking the door.
So he goes vertical. He climbs the massive tree next to the platform and hides in the highest branches, covering himself with leaves. And here's a detail that really shows his state of mind.
Oh, yeah.
He leaves his flute, his precious imperial-grade flute, down in the grass.
He abandons the instrument. That's pure panic. But then the monster wakes up, and this is where the intelligence of the creature really shines through.
Yeah, he's not just a dumb animal.
Exactly. He looks around, sees Limo's gone, and says, I regret not eating him earlier.
He's hangry. He's super annoyed. And he doesn't just sniff around. He stands up and lets out a long roar like a whistle into the sky. And suddenly, the text says more than 10 tigers come leaping out of the darkness.
But catch the hierarchy here, because this is fascinating. The regular tigers don't just soar around, they bow. They prostrate themselves before the tiger man, like he's a king.
It implies a whole supernatural social structure. This isn't just some mutant. This is a deity or a demon with authority. We're dealing with a tiger king.
Literally a tiger king.
And he orders them. He says, there's a flute playing kid here. He must have run off. Go find him.
So now you have a dozen tigers scouring the brush. Limo is up in the tree, shaking, watching these apex predators sniff around the base of the trunk. They search all night.
Yeah.
But, and here's the classic horror trope, they don't look up until the very end.
It's the lighting. Right at dawn, the moon is setting. The shadows shift. The tiger man looks up and finally spots Limo huddled in the branches.
This part is so tense.
He laughs and says, I thought you went far away, but you're right here.
This is the ultimate jump scare. The tiger man jumps. He tries to grab Limo. The tree is just tall enough that he can't quite reach, but Limo is shaking so hard he's about to fall out of the tree from sheer terror. This is the end.
And then interference. A booming voice out of the sky.
The ultimate Deus Ex Machina.
Literally from the heavens, the voice shouts, this is an imperial attendant. You beasts cannot be rampant.
And just like that, the tigers scatter. They are totally terrified.
But I want you to notice why he's saved. The voice doesn't say this is a good man or this is a virtuoso musician. It says this is an imperial attendant.
Right. It's a very bureaucratic salvation.
It creates this fascinating image of the cosmic order in the Chinese worldview. The emperor is the son of heaven. His attendants, by extension, have a sort of spiritual diplomatic immunity.
Even the monsters have to respect the org chart.
Exactly. If you work for the CEO, the security guards have to let you pass.
That is so interesting. So Limo survives. His servants find him in the morning. He retrieves his flute from the grass, miraculously undamaged, by the way, and they get out of there.
Yeah.
Normally, that's the end of the story. He survived the monster. Roll credits.
But in this text, that's just Act 1, because the story isn't actually just about survival, it's about the nature of the instrument itself.
Right, the story shifts gears completely.
Yeah.
Limo gets sick from the shock, he recovers, and then runs into an old friend, Huangfu Zhang, who happens to be the new governor of Yuzhou.
Yeah, the West is way too dangerous, so they head southeast to the lakes. It's much safer there.
And this brings us to Act 2, The Critic on the Lake. The vibe shift is incredibly jarring.
Yeah.
We go from Tiger King horror to a serene boating trip on Mirror Lake.
They're drinking wine, quoting poetry, just enjoying the moonlight.
It's the classic literati lifestyle.
Right.
And naturally, everyone on the boat wants the famous Limo to play a song. He plays, and the guests are loving it. They are showering him with praise.
Virtually.
But then a small boat drifts toward them.
There's an old man standing on it. The description is very specific here, too. Square face, sparse beard, simple cloth robes. He looks celestial, the text says, like a Taoist immortal.
And he has a bone to pick. He's polite, but he tells Limo, that tune you played, Purple Cloud, comes from the heavens.
Oh.
But when you played the trills, you mixed in a barbarian style.
Ouch. I mean, imagine you're the most famous musician in the empire, you just played your heart out, and a random old guy in a rowboat drifts up and says, your technique is a bit barbarian.
What does he even mean by that? Is it just snobbery?
It's partially snobbery, but it's rooted in a deep philosophy of music. The old man says the flute, the dye, is meant to wash the mind. It's a cleansing tool. He argues that by mixing in foreign, aggressive styles, which were actually becoming very popular in the Tang court at the time, Limo is polluting the purity of the sound. He's treating music as sensation rather than cultivation.
That makes sense. But then the conversation pivots from music theory to something that I found honestly mind-blowing. This is the real deep dive nugget for me.
Oh yeah, this part is amazing.
The old man asks to see the flute itself. And remember, this is a top-tier instrument. It was a gift from the emperor. It's made of purple vein cloud dream bamboo. This is the equivalent of a Stradivarius violin.
But the old man looks at it and basically says,
He does?
He says the tone is floating. And he claims he knows exactly when the bamboo was harvested just by listening to it.
This is where we get into the material science. The old man states that this specific bamboo grows south of the cloud dream region. He says, and this is incredibly specific, if you cut the bamboo before the 15th day of the 7th month, the tone is floating.
Right.
If you cut it after that date, the tone is stifled.
It's so precise.
Wait, hold on. The 15th day of the 7th month. That is oddly precise. Is there actual science here? Or is this just mystical mumbo-jumbo?
No, there's actually a brilliant logic to it that totally aligns with botany.
Really?
Yeah, think about the seasons. In the summer, bamboo is growing fast. It's full of water, nutrients, sugars. The vascular bundles, the veins of the plant, are wide open and transporting fluids. If you cut it then, the material, once dried, is less dense. It's porous.
So that creates the floating quality, like there's literally too much air in the wood.
Exactly. It lacks density. But later in the year, as autumn approaches, the plant hardens off. It stops growing as aggressively to prepare for winter. The fibers tighten up.
Oh, wow.
If you wait too long, it becomes too dense, too rigid. That creates the stifled or blocked sound.
So the old man is essentially arguing for a Goldilocks zone.
Precisely. A perfect balance of density and resonance that happens exactly at the turning point of the season. He's saying Limo's flute, despite being an imperial treasure, is physically flawed because the lumberjack was a week early.
That is wild. But surely a slightly floating tone isn't the end of the world. It's just a minor imperfection.
Well, the old man says it is a huge deal. He warns Limo. He says you can play soothing, soft tunes on this. But if you try to play a metal and stone tune, something vigorous and high frequency, the bamboo won't be able to handle the resonance.
It will shatter.
It will shatter.
Now, Limo and his friends are skeptical. I'm skeptical. I mean, I've seen rock stars smash guitars on stage, but I've never seen a guitar explode just because someone played a chord too hard.
Limo doesn't believe him either. So the old man offers a demonstration. He takes the flute. He plays a metal and stone tune. The text describes the sound as clear and strong, powerful enough to make hidden dragons dance and widows weep.
And then...
And then, right at the climax of the song crack, the flute splits into several pieces.
It literally explodes in his hands.
It's a total mic drop moment. But think about the physics implication here. He's suggesting that sound is raw energy. If the vessel, the bamboo, isn't structurally tuned to hold that specific frequency and amplitude, the energy has to go somewhere, so it tears the material apart.
It completely changes the way you look at an instrument.
Yeah.
It's not just a tube. It's a containment field for acoustic energy.
Exactly.
So now Li Mo is standing there with a pile of splinters. He's probably horrified. He just let a total stranger break the Emperor's gift.
The old man feels a bit bad about it, though, so he reaches into his robe and pulls out 2 flutes. One is short and one is long.
Time for the upgrade.
He gives the short one to Li Mo. Li Mo plays it, and it's an absolute revelation. The sound is pure, it responds perfectly, it's miles ahead of his old one.
But humans, being humans, Li Mo isn't satisfied. He sees the other flute, the long one, and he wants it. He asks, hey, what does the big one do? Can I have that one?
And this is where the story gets really philosophical. The old man refuses. He says, very ominously, this is not for humans.
Not for humans. That is a heavy phrase. Of course, Li Mo begs him, let me try. And the old man warns him. Even if I gave it to you, you couldn't play it. Li Mo tries, and sure enough, nothing. Just air. He can't get a single sound out of it.
This reinforces the idea that the instrument requires a certain internal cultivation to unlock. It's like giving a loaded weapon to a toddler. They can't even pull the trigger.
Right.
But Li Mo keeps pushing. Why can't humans play it? What happens?
The old man explains the stakes. He reminds Li Mo of the temple. He says, your playing in the valley was just the head of human music, the very beginning, and even that summoned a tiger demon.
Yeah.
If I play this long flute here, on the lake, do you not fear startling the dragons?
He's drawing a direct line between the sonic frequency and supernatural consequences. But the crowd on the boat pushes him. They want to see the magic. So the old man sighs and agrees to play just a little bit.
He blows into the long flute. Just a casual breath.
And total chaos ensues. The text says the sound is deafening. Birds drop out of the trees in panic. But it's not just loud. The environment physically reacts. The moonlight dims, the wind starts howling, the waves on the calm lake start surging up, and then giant fish monsters essentially start leaping out of the water.
It turns into a disaster movie instantly. Everyone on the boat is screaming, stop, stop playing. They think the boat is going to capsize.
The old man stops, laughs, and everything goes back to normal.
That's incredible.
Art is power, not metaphorical power, literal, kinetic, environmental power. The long flute represents a level of knowledge or capability that is simply too much for the human world to contain. It disrupts the natural order.
It's fascinating that the better instrument is the dangerous one. Usually we think better technology equals a better life. Here, better technology equals waking the dragons.
It creates a ceiling for human achievement. Li Mo is the best human player, but he's playing with toys compared to the immortals.
So the mystery is finally solved. Li Mo asks the old man who he is.
He does. The old man smiles and says, I am the one who shouted from the sky and scared away the tigers that night.
He was the voice.
He was the guardian angel all along. He jumps into his little boat, and his servant rows away at impossible speed gliding like flight, the text says, and they just vanish into the mist.
So Li Mo eventually makes his way back to the emperor in Sichuan. He tells this entire story to Emperor Xuanzang.
And Xuanzang loved this stuff. He was obsessed with Taoism and the search for immortality. He reinstates Li Mo, gives him new clothes, and practically begs for more stories like this.
There's a funny little tag at the end of the text, too. The eunuch Gao Lishi pipes up and says, hey, speaking of immortals, I heard the Imperial Chess Master also met one recently.
It's literally like the setup for the next episode of a TV show. Tune in next week for the Chess Master's story. It shows just how hungry the court was for these narratives where the magical world bleeds into the real one.
Meanwhile, imagine for a second that you're at a party. And I don't mean just a casual backyard barbecue.
Right.
I mean a gathering of the absolute elite. The kind of people who really know that they run the world.
Yeah.
You're holding a drink, you're laughing, you're feeling pretty good about your expensive clothes and your status. And then the door opens.
And in walks a stranger.
Exactly.
Okay.
A stranger. And he doesn't look like much. You know, he's not wearing the latest fashion. He doesn't have a VIP pass or a badge. He just looks, well, confident. Maybe a little too confident for someone who wasn't even invited.
It's such a classic setup. It's the kind of moment that tests your character in ways you don't even realize until it's way too late.
Right. because in that split second, you have a choice. Do you ignore him? Do you mock him to impress your rich friends? Or do you actually make room at the table? Today, we're doing a story where that exact choice completely changes the course of history for one man.
It really does. And it's such a rich text to dive into because it sits right on this interesting line between gritty history and high fantasy. We're going to be following a man named Wang Jixin. In the history books, he's an absolute legend. He's known as one of the greatest masters of Go, or Weiqi, as it's known, in the source material that the Tang dynasty ever produced.
But, and I really want to be clear about this up front, this isn't just a biography of a board game player.
No, not at all.
We aren't just going to sit here and list his wins and losses.
Yeah.
This is really a tale of two very specific encounters.
Mm.
One of them is grounded in social intelligence, reading the room, basically.
Right.
And the other is about transcending human limits entirely.
Yeah, if you want to structure it, we basically have a human encounter and an immortal encounter. Is to see how these two very different experiences define what it means to be a master. One teaches him how to survive in the shark tank of the emperor's court, and the other teaches him that no matter how good he is, there are just levels of logic that humans simply cannot touch.
So let's unpack this. We're starting with part one, the stranger in the garden. Who is Wang Jixin before he becomes this huge legend? What are we working with?
Well, according to the text, he starts out as a young man from Chang'an, which is the capital. And Chang'an at this time is the center of the world. It's cosmopolitan, wealthy, super busy. Wang comes from a good family, an established family. But his defining trait isn't his money or his politics, it's his obsession.
He's a gamer.
Essentially, yes. He absolutely loves the game of Go. The text says he would repeatedly seek instruction from good players. He's hungry for it. He's very talented, but he's not the sage of Go just yet.
So he's talented, but he's hanging out with a pretty rough crowd.
Yeah.
The scene opens at this famous garden pavilion outside the city. It's springtime, flowers are blooming, and Wang is drinking with a group of noblemen, noble scions, the text calls them. And let's just say, based on the description, these guys sound absolutely insufferable.
Oh, they are the definition of entitled. You really have to picture this group. They're loud, they're arrogant, incredibly wealthy, and they are completely used to being the most important people in whatever room they're in. They don't look at anyone outside their circle. They literally don't even see them.
And that is exactly when our stranger rides up. He gets off his horse and just walks right into the pavilion. The text describes him as neither literary nor martial in his dress.
Right, he's not wearing a scholar's robes.
But he's not in armor either. He just looks capable.
Yeah.
And he walks up and says to the group, "Gentlemen, you're having an elegant gathering. I shouldn't interrupt, but I'm thirsty. Could I have a cup of wine?"
Now pause right here. Because if you're one of those arrogant nobles, this is way more than an annoyance. It's an insult. Who is this absolute nobody asking for free drinks? And true to form, the text says the wealthy youths are unhappy and arrogant. They basically pretend he doesn't exist.
Yeah, they don't dare ask who he is, but they certainly aren't going to welcome him.
Exactly. They probably just rolled their eyes and turned their backs.
But Wang Jixin does something different here. And this is that human skill we were talking about earlier.
He does. He spots something that the others miss entirely. The source says Wang saw the man's extraordinary aura, his qi. He realizes this isn't just an ordinary drifter. There's a real presence there. So before anyone else can say something rude or dismissive, Wang stands up, he bows, and he offers the stranger the seat of honor.
He doesn't just toss him a cup either. He pours him a huge cup of wine. The stranger drinks it, asks for another, and Wang actually holds the cup for him while he drinks.
Which is incredible.
It is. That is a level of service, almost servitude, that you just do not usually see from a wealthy noble to a random guy off the street.
It's total deference. It's respect. And it really sets the stage for the conflict. Because one of the other young nobles, who is probably super annoyed that this stranger is still there ruining the vibe, proposes a drinking game. But let's be honest, it's a trap.
Oh, it is absolutely a trap. He says, let everyone state their family lineage. Whoever has the most prestigious background drinks 3 cups.
Just think about the sheer arrogance of that. They are weaponizing their ancestry. They're assuming they'll win because they are the sons of dukes and high ministers. They want to humiliate this stranger by forcing him to admit he's a nobody compared to their highborn families. It's social warfare, plain and simple.
But the stranger just laughs. He doesn't look rattled at all. He says, I'll drink first, then speak. So Wang Jixin has the servant pour the wine. The stranger downs 3 cups, stands up, and just completely drops the mic.
This is one of the great reveals in the book. He addresses the group and says, "My great-grandfather was the son of heaven. My grandfather was the son of heaven. My father was the son of heaven. And I am the son of heaven."
Wait, son of heaven. So he's not just claiming some high nobility. He's dropping the nuclear option.
Right.
He's saying he is the emperor.
He is the emperor. And imagine the silence in that room. The text says they were looking at each other in amazement, but I imagine it was just pure, unadulterated terror. You just tried to humiliate the guy who can literally have your head cut off on a whim.
And before they can even process what he just said, before they can even drop to their knees to beg for mercy, he just walks out, gets on his horse, and gallops away.
Leaving the room in absolute shock. And then reality crashes in. Palace guards and eunuchs ride up looking for him. It turns out this stranger was Emperor Xuanzong.
Wow.
And he was actually famous for loving to dress up in disguise and go out into the city to see the real world. He wanted to see how people behaved when they didn't know he was watching.
Talk about a spectacularly failed test for those other guys.
Oh, it's worse than a missed opportunity. It's a judgment on their souls.
Oh.
The next day, the famous eunuch Gao Lishi tracks Wang Jixin down, and he brings a message directly from the emperor. The emperor calls those other wealthy youths beggars.
Beggars. I mean, that is incredibly harsh, considering they're probably the richest kids in the city.
It is harsh, but it's incredibly insightful. He says they have the appearance of beggars because they rely entirely on their family name for their worth. They have no inherent nobility inside them. They are spiritually poor. But Wang Jixin, the emperor, calls him elegant and likable.
And because of that one act of kindness, and let's be honest, really good instincts, Wang is rewarded. He's sent to the Hamlin Academy and eventually made a go-waiter, which is basically a professional companion to the emperor for playing chess.
And the takeaway here is just so clear. Success in the human realm, in the emperor's court, wasn't about being the best chess player yet. It was about character. It was about treating a stranger with dignity. As the text puts it, if not for the power of a cup of wine, how could he attain serving the king?
So Wang Jixin has made it. He's at the top of the world living the absolute dream in the palace. But history has a way of flipping the board. We have to fast forward now to the An Lushan Rebellion.
Yes, this is a massive shift in tone. If you don't know Tang history, the An Lushan Rebellion is the ultimate turning point. It's the end of the Golden Age. The glory days are shattering. Rebels are attacking the capital, and Emperor Xuanzong, the exact same man from the garden, is forced to flee. He's running west, towards Shu, which is modern-day Sichuan.
And Wang Jixin is with him. But this is not a luxury vacation. The text describes the Shu roads as incredibly dangerous and narrow. It's a chaotic evacuation. You have the entire court, soldiers, servants, all trying to navigate these treacherous mountain passes.
Right, and hierarchy still exists, even in total chaos. When they stop for the night, the high-ranking officials take all the best rooms in the government relay stations. Wang Jixin, despite being an imperial companion, is lower on the totem pole, so he gets pushed out.
Right, so he ends up wandering off the main road, looking for anywhere to sleep. He finds a desolate village. It's late, the sun is setting, and he sees this small thatched hut with a brushwood door.
It's a classic humble setting. Inside, there's just an old woman and her daughter-in-law. They are hesitant to let a man stay, which is culturally appropriate, but they basically have no choice because there's nowhere else for him to go. They tell him he can sleep on the porch, outside under the eaves.
So picture this contrast for a second. A few years ago, Wang Jixin was drinking wine with the emperor. Now he's the emperor's favorite chess player, but he's sleeping on the dirt floor of a porch in a random village while a war rages on in the distance. He can't sleep. He's tossing and turning. And then, in the dead of night, he hears the women talking.
Yeah, the mother-in-law says something that must have sounded insane to him. She says, "It's a beautiful night with nothing to do. How about we play a game of Go?"
And the daughter-in-law agrees. But Wang is super confused. He peeks through a crack in the door. It's pitch black inside. The candles are out. And on top of that, the women are in separate rooms. How on earth are they playing?
This is where we cross over into the realm of the immortal. They aren't using a board. They aren't using pieces. They are playing blindfold Go. They are simply speaking the coordinates of the moves out loud.
Okay, we need to pause here because I think it's really easy to gloss over this. I've heard of grandmasters in chess playing blindfold. It's impressive, but people do it. Is this really that different?
It is exponentially more difficult. Think about the math here. A chessboard is 8 by 8. That's 64 squares. It's a very confined battlefield. A Go board is a grid of 19 by 19. That is 361 intersections.
That's huge.
It's massive. And unlike chess, where pieces move around and leave empty spaces behind, in Go, you place a stone and it stays there. The board gets incredibly crowded. To play blindfold, you aren't just visualizing a map. You are maintaining a mental database of 100, maybe 200 stones, their exact coordinates and their liberties.
Liberties.
Yeah, the breathing space around them to see if they are captured.
So you have to track the life and death status of hundreds of individual stones completely in your head.
Exactly. For two village women to do this casually while essentially gossiping is like solving quantum physics equations in your head while knitting a sweater. It simply shouldn't be possible.
And the text gives us the actual transcript of the game.
Hmm.
It's incredibly precise. The daughter-in-law says, I place a piece at East 5, South 9.
And the mother-in-law responds after a really long pause, I place a piece at East 5, South 12.
Then West 8, South 10.
West 9, South 14.
And the text really emphasizes the silence, right? It's not this rapid-fire exchange.
No, not at all. It says every time they placed a piece, they thought for a long time. The game stretches on until the fourth watch of the night, so that's just before dawn, and they only played 36 moves total.
Which is a very short game for Go. Usually a game is hundreds of moves.
It is, which implies every single move was incredibly potent. At the end, the mother-in-law laughs and says, you've lost. I won by 9 points. And the daughter-in-law simply admits it. She says, I miscalculated one move.
Meanwhile, Wang Jixin is outside listening to this entire thing. And because he's a master, he's actually memorizing the moves as they say them. He's stunned. He realizes he is witnessing a level of play that absolutely shouldn't exist in a thatched hut in the middle of nowhere.
It challenges his entire worldview. He thought he was the best. He thought he knew the game. But here, in the dark, without a board, two village women are playing a game that is pure mental abstraction.
Morning comes. The sun comes up. Wang Jixin gets himself together and asks to see them. And when they walk out, the description changes completely.
Yes. The night before, they were just an old woman and a rural wife. Now, the text says the old woman has glossy hair and a radiant spirit.
Yeah.
And the daughter-in-law. She's described as having natural brilliance comparable to a goddess or a cloud. The veil has basically been lifted.
Wang Jixin knows exactly what's happening now. He bows and asks about the game. He sets up a physical board and replays the 36 moves he heard them speak.
And this is great detail in the text. When he replays the moves, the daughter-in-law smiles. It's a knowing smile. She's impressed he could follow it. But the mother-in-law, she critiques him.
He asks for lessons. He actually begs them to teach him. And the mother-in-law agrees, but she says something fascinating. She says she will teach him human common methods.
That phrase is crucial, human common methods. She teaches him strategies for attack, defense, killing, and capturing. Basically, the mechanics of warfare on the board.
And then she tells him, this is enough to be unrivaled in the human world.
Think about the implication of that. She is saying, I'm not going to teach you our game. You can't understand our game. Your mind literally cannot process the 9-point calculation we did last night. But I will give you the tools to beat any other human you ever meet.
It's like a grandmaster handing a club player a cheat sheet, but keeping the real secrets for themselves.
Exactly. It establishes a hard limit. There is the human realm, and there is the immortal realm. Wang Jixin can be the king of the humans, but he will never be one of them.
And just to prove the point, as soon as he leaves and walks a few steps, he turns back. And the hut is gone. The women are gone. It's just empty wilderness.
It's the classic vanishing immortal trope. It confirms that this wasn't a hallucination, but a genuine divine intervention. It's very similar to other stories in the era, like the flute player Li Mu meeting an immortal. The text even laments that famous Taoists like Zhang Guo or Luo Gongguan weren't there to identify them properly.
So Wang Jixin eventually reunites with the emperor, and he tells him this story.
He does. And remember, the Emperor Xuanzang is now the retired emperor, or Shengwang, since his son has technically taken over during the crisis. But he's still the wise elder. He listens to the story, and his court jester, Kuang Fanchu, makes a joke.
The jester says, we usually call go-hand conversation. But for this family, it became mouth conversation.
A little levity in a dark time, but the emperor takes it very seriously. He makes a philosophical distinction. He says, common people play with their hands and eyes. Immortals play with their mouths and minds.
He's distinguishing between needing physical tools versus pure consciousness.
Right. We need the board. We need to see the stones to believe they are there. It's almost like the board is a crutch for us mortals. But the immortals, the logic exists purely in the abstract. It's a higher form of reality.
And Wang Jixin makes a real confession here. He tells the emperor that even after he exhausted his intellect trying to analyze that game, he cannot figure out the 9-point win calculation the mother-in-law made.
It remains a total mystery to him. It's a mathematical impossibility for his human mind. He knows the result, but he can't derive the formula. That is the very definition of the gap between him and the immortals.
The source actually grounds us back in reality. While they are discussing this, news arrives from the war.
Yes. The new emperor, Suzong, sends a victory report. The generals Guang Pingwang and Guozi, names that are absolute legends in Chinese history, have defeated the rebels. The report states they had help from the Uyghurs, or Huhe, and have retaken the western capital, Chang'an, and they're moving to retake the eastern capital.